Hi guys, welcome to my Cricut crafting room. This is April. I'm going to show you how to put together the color changing card that you will find on Project Primrose. I'm also going to give you guys the link to that file for those of you who have not heard of Project Primrose. Let's get started. I'm going to be using some of the pink double dot from Bo Bunny. I also use a heavy cardstock for my card base. It works well with these cards because they do have a little bit of weight to them, and since they're interactive, I like to make them a little sturdier. I've cut my transparencies and my image sheet, my window border, and my stop. This piece is very important. You're going to need that. And then of course we have the magic divider. And you're going to fold all of these pieces on the score where they need to be scored. And on this one I'm going to stamp a sentiment. I'm going to be using a Close to My Heart stamp. This is Sending Smiles D1708 from Close to My Heart. It's in a Cricut bundle. It came with the Flower Shop cartridge, which is exclusive to Close to My Heart. Jamie Leonard is a Close to My Heart dealer, and I'll give you her link as well. And we're going to be using the one that says Beauty is All Around on that. I've already placed that on my Misty. And you're going to need either a Stamp-A-Ma-Jig, some sort of alignment tool to stamp this card, because getting it precise on the window is very important for this card. It has to line up. So I've already placed that and tested it since I needed to ink it up. It was a new stamp and get the sticky off of it. And I've got that lined up in there. I'm going to be using a Memento Tuxedo Black archival ink for this portion. We're going to be using 3 different inks, and each one plays an important part. So we're going to stamp that. And we've got a nice crisp stamp, so that's going to do fine. And we won't need that ink anymore. And this piece is scored and stamped, so we're really done with that for the time being. You can set that to the side. Next, I want to stamp the image card. And if you'll notice on the image card, I did put a score line on this. It's faint because it's a heavy cardstock. I'm getting ink on there, so I better flip that over. But the score line, that is your window. And that is the maximum window size for your stamp. If you go bigger than that, it's going to be stuck up under the edges of your card, and you don't want that. You want to choose a stamp that gives you a good coloring area, and that looks good. And because I got a little ink from my finger on there, I'm going to flip that over since I've got it lined up now. And on this one, I'm going to be using a Stampin' Up. I'm using the Rose Red for this image. You can use black, you can use whatever color you desire. I just like the look of that. I'm going to ink that up. And I better put my magnets in there. I always forget those. And we're going to give it a good press. And if you don't like that with your Stamp-A-Ma-Jig or with your Misty, that's the beauty. You can stamp again and get it right in the same spot and get a crisper image. And that looks good. And I am also a Stampin' Up dealer, or demonstrator, I should say. And I'll supply that link for you too in case you would like to order some of those products. Let me clean my stamp up here. I'm going to get ink on my fingers. I know I am, so my fingers are going to be red. Let me get that off of there. Now this next step is very important. Let's set this off to the side to dry. Next we're going to stamp the transparency. if I can find it on this glass top here. I apologize. I should have set that to the side. Oh, I had to, so I could see it, and then I still didn't see it. You want to make sure you get this in the same exact spot with your Stamp-O-Majig or your Misty. I like to put this one down very well. Next, for this one, you are going to need a Stays-On ink. No other ink will stick to this transparency. It will smudge, it will never dry. So you want to make sure that you use Stays-On for this. Let me ink up my stamp. And stamp it in the exact same spot as I did the other. And transparency, I never get it to stamp on the first try, so that's the beauty of the Misty. I'm going to remove that. We have a nice crisp image. I know it didn't look that way because I had a practice spot earlier. We're going to set that off to dry. And you can also stamp the inside of your card if you desire. And you can have this going in any direction that you want. This one we are going this way with it. It can be up. So that depends on how you want your card to look. And we'll be done with that for now. You can stamp a sentiment or use your Cricut to write your sentiment. So now while those pieces are drying and set to the side, we'll put the card together. I like to put my trim piece on now so that I don't get any glue on my transparency window by doing it later. Make sure you got it going in the right direction. It's going to fit. I'm using Art Glitter Glue. It's not in the Art Glitter Glue bottle because I had the large bottle and I am almost out, and it was taking forever to get the glue from the bottom of the bottle back to the top. And so I put it in a smaller bottle so it would come out quicker and easier. We're just going to get some glue to hold that frame. Art Glitter Glue doesn't warp the pieces. It dries quickly. Doesn't take much. And if it does squish out, it'll be clear. Nobody will see it. And sometimes I like to use some Nuvo drops or something like that to kind of dress that up. We'll see after the card's complete or before I give it to somebody. I'll add some embellishment to that. You can use washi tapes and everything else. You can even stamp with other stamps on this. If you'll look in the file on some of the pictures, I did stamp the edges. So it's just all in what you want it to look like, but you can stamp it. I do that before you put the trim on though. Okay. Alright, now we have our mechanism. You're going to need this piece and you're going to need these two pieces. Before you put these together, go ahead and color in your color piece. And I'm just going to use some various pinks here to go with this, and we'll blend them. And I'm using Copic markers, and the reason I use the Stampin' Up! Ink on this instead of the Stays-On is because the Stays-On will smear with the alcohol inks and your image won't be as crisp. So just do some coloring to your liking. I'm being a little messy here for time's sake. Usually I go a lot slower than this. There's this spot. I think I'm good with that color. And I like to blend in several different colors. I'm just going to go over that and just a little bit above it, and I'm going to go in lighter with another color. I usually use 3 colors on mine. And then the blending. And if you get outside the line, usually your Copic blending tool will erase it. This might be too pale. No. Trying to hurry so that you guys don't have to sit and watch me color, but that'll also give you a chance to catch up and get yours glued together. I've done these in several different colors. This is my first pink. And you can always, if you don't like the colors, you can always go back before you glue everything together and add or change it up a little bit. Maybe a brighter pink in the middle. Cover all that white. I want it to pop. Do some yellow in that center. And that looks good. And this is how our mechanism is going to go together. You can see how it looks once you have your black on there. That's why I said I went with the red. There's no need to have all that black in there. Okay. Now you want to take, and you can either use what I call tearing tape. I get this at Joann's, and it's just a double-sided tape. Or you can use your ATG. But it does show a little bit when the card is pulled out. That's why I prefer the art glitter glue. It's enough to hold it, and it doesn't show nearly as much as the other does. Just put it on the top edge of the card there. And you want to make sure that this lines up. It needs to line up well. That's why your Stamp-A-Majig is key to this, or your Misty. And once you've got it lined up perfectly, just glue it down and give that a second to dry. You're then going to need your mechanism. This is the piece with the little diamond cut out in the middle, and that's where your heart point is going to be. So now you want to separate your transparency. You want to lift it up, not enough till you separate your glue, but just enough while that's drying, and slip it into the slot. So the transparency is on the top. Your image, your colored image, is in between, and then you've got the back of it. So it's just down into the slot. Once you have that in there, you want to lift this up, and it's not going to fold flat because you have this sticking up here. So I'm going to do mine backwards so you guys can see it. Get it lined up here. With the little point of the heart and the diamond there. And this is where your stop comes in. This is a very important piece. Without this, when they go to pull it, it's going to pull right out, and that's not. And then they're going to think they've messed their card up. So you're going to line that up and add just a little bit of glue along the bottom edge of the image card. Be careful not to get it on the mechanism part of the card, because it will stick and you won't be able to work it. That's a little hard to do upside down. So. But you see, I did not glue it to the mechanism, but now it won't pull out. It stops when you pull it. Okay. Once you have that done, this is where I like to use the tape. You're going to have it facing you, or the way that you want it in the card. Might be easier for some of you. You want to place it in your card like so. You can see that. It's upside down for me, but maybe you guys can read it. And then I like to flip it over and open it up. That way I know I have it the right way. And this is where the tearing tape will come in. And you're just going to put a couple of pieces on. And you can do the sides if you like, but it's not really necessary. And I'll do the top piece. And you want to check before you press this down just to make sure your image didn't move. So I apologize, but I got a little bit of glue or something on there. Okay. Make sure that it lines up in the window like you want it, and just press it down. Once you have it pressed down, then that's in place. I don't recommend using glue to glue these edges, because if it squishes in and gets in this mechanism, it's going to ruin the card. So again, this is where tearing tape will work best. I think that's a little long. And you don't need a whole lot, just enough to, from the top edge, carefully place it along the edge, not getting it into the mechanism. And don't put anything across this top edge where your card is being pulled out. It's not quite long enough. Let me get another piece. And on this side as well. And it's a little off, but that doesn't matter. My image is in the center. The mechanism's not going to show anyway. Alright. Then you just want to, from the back edge here, press it down in the center, make sure everything is laying correctly, and then seal up those edges. So now you have your card, and they're going to pull and have the color change. I can't do that upside down, I apologize. Get it back in there straight. And then you're going to need a little loop of ribbon, and I like to do this before I put it on the card. I would not cut it long enough to tie in a bow unless you just want to. I have one here that I've already done. It was a goof up, so. But you just want to tie it in a knot, because when they pull it in and out, the bows tend to come untied. I like the sheer ribbon for this, but any ribbon will do. Just tie it in a knot, that way it's nice and secure, and then the mechanism will pull in and out. Okay, then we can put it on our base. Just kind of line it up, get it straight. And I like to use the tape here too, because some papers, if you're using a thinner paper, might make it bubble on the inside. And again, you can finish the inside of the card many different ways. Some vellum, or I have the Cricut right. Make sure that I get a good strip across this top where most of the play will be. And you can put some down the sides here too if you want. I never find it necessary with this tape. It holds pretty good. And then we're going to line it up on the base. And that is not straight. I'll get it in a minute. There we go. That's, that way they have room to play with it. And there you have it. And that's all there is to putting this card together. And your mechanism will loosen up a little bit after you've got it on that card, because you actually have something to hold to. I suggest using a white base if you're using a white mechanism. That way it blends. You can put a stamp here. I have done that before, but keep in mind that this image will lay over that. So if you've got like Beauty is All Around stamped in there, it will show through this flower just a little. But when it's pulled up, it will show completely. And there you have it. I thank you guys for watching me. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Use the links below for your Stampin' Up! Products, for your Close to My Heart products, and for getting the files off of Project Primrose. I'll also add a clickable link for the Design Space file directly as well. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.